Hey there friends, it's Codiak here and welcome back to Legacy Gaming and another Death's Door boss guide video. Today we're taking on the second major boss in the game, the Frog King. This is a fantastic fight that relies heavily on situational awareness and reactionary gameplay, and definitely something I can see players struggling with. As always, if you have any questions about the fight or just the game in general, let us know in the comment section below, and remember to hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more great video game content in your feeds. Alright, the King of the Swamp. This is probably one of my favorite funny moments from the game. As you can see why. And here we go. So the fight starts and he'll use his first and pretty much the primary ability in the entire encounter. He'll bounce on his mace there, hop around the room, and knock down these panels that will of course drop you into the water and you'll take damage. Now in the first phase here, he does a sequence of 3 slams and then he'll use his actual mace to do kind of like a jump attack, and that will reset all of the panels. And that's a really important distinction to make at this point in the fight because that's going to come into play much later. Now as you can see, this just constantly repeats until you take him down. So I'm just showing you guys the sequence here and then I'll start doing some damage to him. As you can see, not doing any damage to him outright, but if you'll notice, his back actually has these straps on them that glow. And if you hit those straps, he'll get knocked into the water just like that. So it's not necessarily that you need to damage him, you just need to get behind him and hit him one time to knock him into the water. That cycle will just continue to repeat. You keep knocking him into the water, and eventually, I think it's 3 or 4 times, you will trigger the next phase. Be careful when he's popping up out of the water there. The panel will shake, that'll indicate where he's going, and as you can see, the deeper into phase 1 you get, the more panels get added to this kind of hopping around sequence. Now you can lead him however you want, just make sure that you're giving yourself enough room to maneuver around the encounter space. That is really important. You don't want to box yourself in. Think of it like a game of Snake. You want to lead the boss to the right location so that you do not get stuck. Now once you hit him, I think it's 3 times, he will trigger into phase 2. This is a clean phase 2, and he is now a big boy. He takes up still only really 1 space on the encounter area, but he's a big boy. It becomes a little bit of an issue. So when he's in the water, he's going to tilt the platform like this, and he's actually going to start sucking tiles down. Now, of course, as you're running against the wind, you're going to be slower, you're not going to be able to move as easily. And as you notice, when he jumps onto the platform, those tiles do not reset. So the only way to get those tiles back is to use a ranged attack and hit his back where the mace is. You have to hit the mace, that is key. Now here's another new ability in phase 2. As you can see, he'll throw out these little bombs. They will knock down tiles, and if you get stuck in the water, you will lose a chunk of your health. At this point, the boss will just bounce back and forth between, I'm going to say, the south side of the platform and the north side of the platform, and constantly use those 2 abilities. He'll suck tiles down, he'll jump onto the platform, he will damage you, but that is also a great time to get some free hits in, and then he'll jump across. Make sure that you hit the mace. That is the single most important thing that you can do in this fight. Now with these bombs, you do need to lead them so that, again, you don't box yourself in. The further along into phase 2, the more bombs he will throw out, and you have to be very careful because when he transitions from bombs to sucking down the tiles, if you box yourself in or don't give yourself an escape route, you're going to be in trouble. And my advice for this particular part where he's pulling in all the tiles is just stay as far away from him as possible. I like to be in the middle, that way I can move left or right dependent on which tiles he's pulling down. I actually didn't have too much of a problem with this as long as I stayed far enough away from him, but if you do get trapped, if you're just not moving fast enough, I can see that being a really big issue for a lot of players. Now as you can see there, I got caught. I had a bomb that knocked out a tile, and then the Frog King jumped on me. So that's exactly what you don't want to do. The good news is the fight really doesn't get that much more complicated, so you can salvage a hit or 2. Maybe you have 5 chunks of health if you found the different shrines in the world, but for the most part, as long as you keep your cool, the boss has a really consistent tempo and cadence. The entire fight is scripted to be that way because there are a lot of moving pieces. You just need to understand how to react to them and how to think ahead and plan out your movements as a player. In terms of damaging the boss, the best opportunity to get damage on the Frog King is when he jumps onto the platform. You can try and get some free hits in with your bow between the phases where he's at the edge of the encounter space, but you do have to be very careful. Of course, when he's on the platform, you get melee hits, that builds up your range charges, and then when he jumps into the water, that's when you use your ranged attacks. That way you get about 8 hits in over the course of each little sequence here. You do have to be careful though. If you focus too much on doing damage, you will get hit by a stray bomb, or maybe you get sucked in, and that's a quick way to end the fight. As I've talked about with the other boss fights, you need to be patient when it comes to Death's Door. The game rewards you for just learning the pattern and then being patient and executing at the right time. Sure, there's a risk versus reward factor of trying to end these fights as quickly as possible, but ultimately things are consistent, and that's exactly what you want to see in an action adventure game. As you can see, the fight is pretty long. I'm just following the rhythm, following the sequence. I have made 2 mistakes, which is why I don't have 2 of my health points, but I'm doing okay and just staying cool, calm, and collected. And eventually, this big guy will go down. Now, as always, guys, if you have any questions about this boss fight or anything in Death's Door, please leave us a comment in the section below. I'm always happy to answer boss guide questions because I love everything about boss fights, and I'm always willing to help out players that are struggling with these encounters. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below, and we will see you next time. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thank you so much for watching, and play on.